Day to day at Gourmet, what is my role? I've been there now almost exactly 10 years, and it's very different now than it was 10 years ago. When I first got there, I read every scrap of copy 5 times. Now I have we're an amazing staff. We're an amazing group. It's a very stable group. I mean, Gourmet is our executive food editor has been there 30-some years. And the group I've gathered have almost all been there the 10 years that I've been there. And I feel like my job is to sort of conceive it. And, we wrestle what are these issues going to be? But I don't tell people what to do. I mean, I feel like my job as a manager is to have really good people and trust them. So I wouldn't tell my creative director how to shoot an article. I don't tell the kitchen, once we've decided what we're going to do for Thanksgiving, for instance, I don't tell them these are the dishes I want. I mean, it seems to me that if you have creative people, the point is to let them create. So I'm much less hands-on, although certainly I, read everything probably twice. And, while I'm on the road, they'll be faxing me stuff and, FedExing me stuff. But I am not a micromanager in any way. And Doc Willoughby, who is the executive editor, is pretty much in charge of the day-to-day running of the magazine. And he doesn't have to ask me. He just makes it work. Actually, it's interesting. We won 4 James Beard Awards for journalism on Sunday night, and one of them was for this amazing piece that Edna Lewis wrote that was found in her papers. And Jane Lear, who had been the person who bought it, said, I was thanking her for having found it, and she said, I think you're the only editor I've ever worked with who, when they sent me the piece, I just instantly said, I'll buy it. I mean, she didn't ask me. She just said, I knew it was a piece we needed to have, and I just made that decision. Our circulation has never been higher, and it's gone up in the last few months, and it's gone up since gourmet.com went online. I mean, gourmet.com is mostly original material. We don't replicate the magazine, but I think that people want the physical magazine. It was very interesting to me because we did this cookie project where we put up the best cookie from each of our 65 years last year at Christmas. And we got hundreds of letters from people saying, where can I buy the book? Which was so fascinating to me because they were getting it for free. But people wanted the book, and I think it's the same with food magazines. I mean, I think, probably not all food magazines will survive, but I think this is going to be the situation that you saw with movies when they went on DVDs, and people said, oh, it's the end of people going to theaters. And I think people want to consume that particular medium in a number of different ways. I can't speak for the other magazines. I can tell you that for us, when I got to the magazine, there were no people in the pictures. And to me, food is about people. It is about the communion that happens at a table. And they looked empty and soulless to me. And when Richard and I talked about it, he said, what we need to create are moments. We are trying to, give you a sense of what is happening. I mean, we want it to be not just static. I think it's amazing in our June issue, and this is something that I think we're going to be trying to do more often. We've only done it once before, and it's very scary. I mean, we shot a meal in real time with real people. It's an amazing meal. Maricel Presilla did this huge Latino picnic, and we just went out and shot it, and there were real problems with it because they started late and the light faded. But you really get a sense that they're real people, and it looks better than the stuff where we use models. The problem is that it doesn't always work. You know, if people are really eating the food, you can't say to them, you know, no, 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 don't eat that yet. We need to shoot it. But we're trying to, and in fact, most of the people we use actually aren't models. They're friends. I mean, we can't afford models. Models are very expensive. So we do a lot of stuff with smoke and mirrors, the photographer's assistants, the stylists on the shoot. I mean, a lot of that is really just people that we pull in and say, you know, sit there. How would I characterize the influence of the magazine, and what do I think its ultimate objective is? You know, I mean, one of the things that makes me proudest of what I've done at the magazine, you know, this magazine is almost 70 years old now. It's the oldest Epicurean magazine in America. And I think that it has sort of been at the forefront of the conversation about food for much of the last 70 years. What makes me proud is when I got there, everybody said to me, you can't do these. See, nobody comes to an Epicurean magazine to read about problems with fish farming or why trans fats are bad or, you know, that tomatoes are being picked by slaves. And I said, you know, if you're not going to tell this to the people who care about food, who are you going to tell it to? I mean, who else would be the audience for this? And one of the things that I'm proudest of is that in the last 10 years, I don't think anyone would now say, this isn't what an Epicurean magazine ought to be doing. I mean, it's become very much the province of a food magazine. And we're not the only ones doing it anymore. Although maybe nobody else would run an article about tomato slaves.